what do they have to gain, though? Like, what sort of statement could they make? They're 6 games above 500. They've played really good baseball. They're in their second month, third month of being a really good baseball team, and for the past month, maybe going on like month and 2 weeks, they've been great. Like they've been playing playoff caliber. The kind of baseball, they're 20-10 since June 13th. That's the kind of baseball that gets you in the playoffs.
If we're being realistic, though, anything that they prove probably over the next 7 days is nothing more than symbolic, because there are so many more series against Houston and against Oakland. You know, it would be great if they're able to somehow take 4 or 5 games, and if they do, you should be excited, because maybe that means that there's a little extra incentive at the top of the food chain in the Mariners organization to greenlight something that maybe makes it seem as if, hey, like we're actually in this right now. In fact, we have a chance of making the playoffs this season, talking about it from the Mariners' perspective. So I would say that probably the next 7 games, it's more symbolic than anything, but that doesn't mean that you would dismiss it entirely. It's about, hey, we are a team that you cannot ignore in the American League West. And you know who they've played of late? They had a nice series against the White Sox. They had a nice series against the Rays. Like, they have shown that they are competitive, but these are the big boys, right? I mean, these are the teams that you really care about stacking up against, not just this year, but in years to come.
You got to walk down one of these 2 teams.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to make the playoffs, you're going to have to catch one of these 2 teams. There's 10 teams in the American League that have a winning record. I don't know.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't know if this is a series or a week that is going to change sort of the decision-making process when it comes to who to add. I don't think it should. The Mariners' goal, like the measurement of success is not going to be whether the Mariners make the playoffs this year. Like, the measurement of success is going to be, are they contending for a playoff spot or getting into the playoffs next year? Are they capable of winning a division championship in 2023 or 2024? Those are the metrics. We're now looking, are they a little bit either ahead? Are they getting, how quick can they get there? And maybe they can. Maybe they have shown improvement. You've gotten some things that you could not have expected. Luis Torrens, you not have expected that dude to have 11 home runs. Mitch Haniger, I think the idea that he's their best player isn't surprising, but it certainly wasn't a given. He hadn't played in a year and a half. Like, you've gotten, this was a team a lot of people thought was going to lose 90 games. It's not going to lose 90 games, and in fact, it might have an outside chance of winning 90 games. I still think that that's a little bit high.
I agree.
But all of those things, and I don't know if the next week is going to change their decision-making process, but I want to see them add. I want to see them add a starting pitcher. I want to see them add a right-handed bat. I want to see them add.
Their timeline is, I think, going according to plan right now. And that's good. And honestly, a couple of months ago, remember when they got just murdered by San Diego?
Mm-hmm.
It did not look like that.
That was the low point of the season. It looked like the bottom was falling out. Injuries were stacking up. Marco Gonzalez was hurt. It looked like the bottom was falling out.
And Scott Service deserves a lot of credit for riding the ship, for getting everybody together and saying, hey, look, we got to take care of business here. They have told us for the last couple of seasons that competition, being in contention, all those things that you have been waiting for from this team are right around the corner. And it does feel like, you know, we talk about light at the end of the tunnel, and obviously we're a lot further through the season right now. There's still plenty of season to go, and there's a chance that things do hit the fan, but you see where they are going. The path seems like it is definitively heading towards some type of success. What extent of success? Who knows? But what you've seen thus far this year is really promising, and I think you can actually start talking about how next season is a season where its playoffs are the expectation. You know, being one of the top 5 or 6 teams in the American League at the end of the season and being in that race, that now actually feels like it's a reasonable ask for next season, and that's really cool. And this couple of games ahead is going to tell you whether or not maybe they're even further ahead of schedule than that.
How many of these games, if the playoffs are a reasonable goal, how many of these games do they have to win?
5 is going to make me feel great. 4 is going to not really change my opinion any way or the other, and same with 3, but I would feel good about 4 and 3. I'd be like, yeah, that's kind of what I expected. If they lose 6 of them, I will be like, okay, well, there's your reality check. And I felt like you had a bit of one against the New York Yankees. This would be another one. but I do. I guess I'm. If you had to predict, what's it going to be? Right now, let's just write it down. Little weekly time capsule. How many?
I think they're going to go. I think they're going to go 4-3. I think they're going to win 3 against Oakland, and I think that they'll win one of the 3 against Houston. I think they're going to go 4-3.
They're at home, which helps. I am going back and forth between 2-5 and 3-4. I will say 3-4. Just
So
because
you're not optimistic. You think this is where the rubber meets the road.
Look, these are 2 really good teams, and specifically Houston. Like I could see them getting swept by Houston with the way that Houston's playing. Like that is a team that has a lot of bats, and with you having the issues that you have in your rotation, and also just things not lining up from a timeline perspective as far as what starting arms you're going to have up against them, that's kind of a bummer.